Hello everyone, my name is Jordan, also known as Minx, and today I want to show you my technique of how I create a synth. So today I'm actually looking to create a nice pad synth. So I want to show you all of the techniques that I use in order to create that sound. Because most of the time I have some rigged up to where I want to show you guys and it sounds nice and clean. But to actually show you my methods in person is very different because you get to see all of what I use, not just like the little bits here and there, but all of it. And that's really powerful if you have that type of information. So what I'm going to do right off the bat inside of Reason is I'm going to throw in a combinator. And inside this combinator, I want to throw in a very basic Thor. Thor is great if you want to create all those pads, because what you need for a pad is either staccato or elongating release and attacks, and I'll show you that here in a minute. So the first thing that I want to do inside of Thor, I want to throw up my decay and sustain all the way. I want to turn up my attack and play a few notes to see what sounds the most delayed. .319 is very like elongated, so that way when it sweeps into the it sweeps into the sound, it sweeps into it instead of just like a jagged cut, like or like that. So it's best to do stuff like that. Well, when creating a pad, or I'll show you how to create a lot of deep house because I love deep house and it's easy for me to make those sounds. But let's get back to the synth. So let's say I want to create a nice pad. Perfect way to do that, if you're only using analog or multi oscillators, you can achieve this no problem. I'm going to use analog oscillators because I get to control all the different frequencies. With a multi-oscillator, you only get to control one that spreads out all throughout the different harmonies in that synth. But with analog, you're able to control it. So I'm gonna bring it down one for a little bit of the fatness. Next, I'm just gonna go to my second oscillator because that one is already done. I'm gonna choose another saw wave and I'm gonna turn it up 1 octave. And since we're working in the key of E, I'm going to turn up both of my semitones to 6. And the same thing for the final oscillator too. So I'm just going to turn it up to 6 now. It's going to be a multi-oscillator for the final one. Doop 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 doop. There we go. And I forgot to show you to turn on the second oscillator. That's just given. I like it, but it sounds like it's missing a lot of stuff. So I'm going to turn on my third oscillator. It sounds like a Commodore 64 pad. I want to turn up my frequency all the way. Okay, so now that we have our pad, we want it to ring out. So I'm going to turn up my release. Okay, so that's one way of creating a very nice pad. The other way, and I'm going to reset this. The other way of creating a very nice pad is we copied the same routine. So I want to turn up the decay and sustain all the way. Turn up the attack to 424 milliseconds and the release to 1.5 milliseconds, or 1.5 seconds, I'm sorry. So now we have the very nice aquaticness, right? Well, what if we want to create like a hollow type of loose pad? Normally I would use analog oscillators, but they only give me one type of sound. And so I'm going to use a wavetable to get multiple types of sound. That basic analog is perfect because I'm not sure if it's a saw wave or a square wave or what type of wave it is. Let me see. Oh, so it's like it's a triangle and a sine wave put together. Yep, that's what a basic analog is. If you don't believe me, look at this graph. That looks like a triangle and a sine wave put together. So anyways, what I'm going to use this for is I want to create a nice like clean harmonic glistening type of pad. I like 74, it's perfect. I want to pitch it up an octave. I want to bring it up 6 semitones because I'm working in E. Already sounds like a video game type of synth. That's perfect. So now what I want to do is I want to turn on my second oscillator. I want to set it to a saw. I'm sorry, not a saw, but a square. And I want to mess around with the PW to see if I can get a nice type of same synth. Okay, so the PW needs to be about 85 and the oscillator needs to be set at 6. And I'll bring up the semitones too. Sounds very nice. That sounds very nice to me. Next, if I want to make this a little bit more like that ringingness, I want to use that FM pair. Because the FM pair gives a lot of the harmonics just in a different sense of like a mouth. So it's able to give a lot of those like, I don't know, dove type of sounds. It's hard to describe. Anyways, I'm going to turn up my FM and see what kind of freaky stuff I can get going here. Okay, so the carrier needs to be at 10 and the mod needs to be at 5 and the FM needs to be at 47. It needs to be at all of these precise measurements because with FM you need to be exactly precise. With FM, if you adjust one thing, the whole synth changes. Okay, so that's how I create a synth basically. Now let's say I want to create this a little bit wider. Well, I'm going to turn up my filter frequency to 1.56 kilohertz and I'm leaving it there because what I do with all of my synths is I leave the cutoff open, and sometimes it's not going to do that because it will go in the frequency range of another synth and then mess up your whole song. So other than that, I thought that was a pretty good demonstration of what I do. I want to throw on an RV7000. I'm going to throw on a plate preset. So let's do warm plate because plates give off a nice sharp stab, but still let it ring out through all the... It's good to do this with drums too. The plates are, if you're trying to figure out something to widen your drum, the plates are very, very good for that. If they'd use them all the time in 1980s, any type of 80s track, and you listen to the drums, and they sound nice and wide, they're using the warm plate preset in order to get that nice wideness, or a spring preset. So now that I have my preset in here, its decay is at 20 and the dry wet is at 15. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw on the echo. I'm going to bring the time all the way down, turn it off sync, and set the offset to 16 milliseconds, and turn on keep pitch, that button. Turn on that button. You want to keep everything in pitch. You only want things to go out of pitch if you're playing a weird synth or a guitar or whatever, you know. But for this tutorial, we're gonna leave it in the same pitch. Let's say I didn't want to play this synth like this, just plain. So I'm gonna throw on the alligator. And right off the bat, we already have something very nice. But I'm gonna control the master volume down. I'm gonna turn it down to 50%, and I'm gonna turn up my regular volume to 70. What this allows us to do is that it likes to use some of the original signal with the chopped signal, so that way it gives it a nice cleaner cut. Because if I turn this off, you'll start to notice that it will just be chopped. It would just go chut 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 and sound shut 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 shut. It has a much easier time. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to master this. So I want to throw on an equalizer. I want to throw on a stereo imager. I want to throw on a unison. And then I'm going to throw on a pulverizer and a maximizer. Anyways, so what I'm going to do for my equalizer is I'm going to take it off. I'm going to turn on low cut and turn on low shelf. I notice there's a lot of low end with this. So I want to take the low shelf all the way down. And I want to set the frequency to 154 Hertz. And I'm going to turn up the Q. Let's see. Turn up the Q to 0.75. Okay, I notice I'm still having a lot of low end issues, so I want to turn on P1, and I want to take the gain all the way down, and I want to turn it to 156 Hertz. I want to turn the Q all the way to 0.5. There we go. Now we have a lot less of those type of issues. So now what I'm going to do is I want to take my X over frequency. I'm going to turn that up to 1.16. I want to take the low end all the way down to 0, or as low as it can go in the mono. I want to turn up the activity, the high band, a little bit wider to about 20. And when this unison sounds pretty cool. But I'm going to take the dry wet down to 30. There we go, that sounds better. I want to turn up the squash to about 15, and I'm just going to minimize that. And for the maximizer, I want to take it off limiter, put release to auto, turn on soft clip, set the amount to 127. And there you guys have it, your very own crystal lead. Crystal pad. Sorry. I've been making leads for the past couple of days, so that's pretty much it. And now that I have all the sounds I want for my synth, for my instruments, I guess I'll show you guys how to create the track next time. So I'll show you my flow next time. Thanks for watching. This has been one of my technique tutorials. I'll check you guys out later. Stay safe and peace.